stuff, so that's fine. I did have the was it Mr. Yeah, Mr. A. He invited you guys for a food truck. So we won't be here next week because we have Cody's birthday, but we'll be here the week after that for sure. I don't know. I just keep it at 4, 5, 6 minutes, but I will ask. Okay, let's pass this stuff. What? No, it's next week. Next weekend is so crazy. You have your skate show, then baseball game, then softball game, then Amy's graduation party, and then Sunday is sports. Yeah, and then we leave Monday for our trip. And then maybe we'll take start.
Check, check. Go rally the crowds, the masses, yearning to give free.
That's what Daddy just said. That's what nervous that I get to be there. That's all good. I'll be right out, okay? All right. See you out.
Check, 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 check.
All right. Well, hello, everybody. Are we on? All right. Hello, anyone who's watching on live stream or watching later. Welcome to St. Luke. I'm Pastor Matt Stanis. Today we have a special forum on giving, on planned giving, and we have with us today Michael Ghelardi, who is our local rep with Thrivent. A lot of us are familiar with Thrivent already, and I'm sure Michael will tell you everything you need to know about Thrivent. But Thrivent has had a long tradition of partnering with Lutheran congregations in financial services, and we at St. Luke have certainly been grateful for Thrivent's generosity through action teams and through sponsorships of things that really make a difference in our community. So yeah, Michael is here to get acquainted with us and also to acquaint us with some of the, as John Ayler said, from our generosity team, strategies for giving. So let's welcome Mike. And I'll add, before we welcome Michael, because we're live streaming, if we have discussion, I've got a microphone in my hand. We want to make sure that the folks who aren't in the room can hear what we're saying too. So if you have a comment or a question, look for me, give a wave, and I'll come to you. Welcome. Let's welcome Michael Ghelardi from Thrivent.
It's okay. I appreciate the opportunity to come and talk with you guys. I see familiar faces. Always a pleasure to reconnect, especially in the light of some tax law changes at Thrivent, changes in general financial strategies, and things happening here at St. Luke's as well. John alluded to the fact that some people were beginning to think about estate planning, expanding the relationship after they pass with the church, and how to continue on with the good deeds you guys are doing. So I am a certified financial planner with Thrivent. First and foremost, I try to put solid financial plans for people together and discuss and execute on next steps. A plan without action, I don't think it really helps anybody. So one of the philosophies that I take into my planning process is next steps, action items, being very clear and transparent about what you're trying to accomplish. In that note, not all people are open to those conversations. And if you're not open to those conversations, fine. But at least having those conversations with someone close to you, next of kin, family, to continue on what you're doing sometime is important. So this brief conversation and presentation is more meant to be conversational, to shine some light on, from a high level, opportunities that you might be missing and start up a thought process and conversation for next steps. We're not going to get extremely technical and tactical. Wants to hear that on the Sunday. But to the extent you do have questions, feel free to answer or raise your hand and we can discuss. Or if you have very specific things that you want to go over, I am more than happy to sit down individually with each one of you. Not today. I told a few of you guys that my kids have softball after this. That I turn into a coach at 12:30. So Monday morning, financial planner hat goes back on. But happy to sit down and discuss anything that we go over with all of you at some point in the future. So the clicker's not going. There we go. I don't know if you can all see this, but who is Thrivent? We are a not-for-profit financial services organization founded in 1903 as the Aid Association for Lutherans and Lutheran Brotherhood. It's still a faith-based organization. Lots of changes in the last 120 years. For the people here who are members of Thrivent, you've probably seen and heard about and hopefully executed on action teams and choice dollars. As we go through these slides, the choice dollars and action teams are more meant for today. The core of this presentation is more meant for thinking 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now and how to expand your generosity within the church community. I won't go through all those, but what do we actually do? How does Thrivent work? Well, that's really small, isn't it? So advice, investments, insurance, banking, and generosity. As a certified financial planner, I have the access and knowledge to, if I don't know something, at least get you the answers. I myself have a Series 7, 66 life health licenses in just about every state in the country. If I don't have a license in a state and that's where you happen to live or know somebody, I'll get a license in that state to help out. Things like trusts, wills, Power of attorney, I can't do that personally, but I have access to people who can, and I coordinate all those efforts with my clients if they see fit. So the purpose of this and the purpose of all of that, unlike most financial services companies who typically tend to think about, for better or for worse, returns, investments as numbers on a piece of paper, the core of Thrivent is to see, why do you have those numbers on that piece of paper? What's the purpose of it? How do you put plans into action? And at the core of Thrivent's mission is to expand on generosity. Put a purpose to those funds to see why you have the money that you have. And with this presentation specifically, when you pass away and can't take that money with you, to make sure it gets directed to the places and organizations and people that you care about. How many people here's kids, grandkids have the same values identically as you do? Nobody. Obviously, people want to provide for their kids, for next of kin, maybe a college education, down payment on a home. But when you pass away, unless your kids, which I don't see anyone's adult children sitting next to them here today, if you pass away, one of the organizations that's going to suffer financially is probably this church. The tithes stop coming in, membership fluctuates day to day, but ultimately, if you put various mechanisms in your plan or articulate your plan to somebody to try to help make progress, maybe that's not the case. John alluded to someone passing away several years ago and leaving a bequest to the church that was pretty significant and helped out. So we'll see if we can expand on that. So we're talking primarily about finances. Some people are not in the position to donate, to give, and money is not the only thing you can give to the church, right? So time, talents, helping out. Ultimately, a lot of those events that take your time and talents do take some type of resource. So it's a marriage hand in hand. Typically need both. When we start thinking about generosity, financial events, giving, expanding on generosity, people think they ultimately need a whole lot of money to do so. I don't think that's the case. Various things that happen in your financial life, for obvious reasons, have tax implications and can expand greatly. But for spontaneous giving, for example, if you see disaster happening somewhere in the country, you act. Most people tend to act. Send money for a hurricane, earthquakes, feed the hungry. It's an immediate need. With good financial planning, you can expand on that. The spontaneity and spontaneous giving is just that, the today. Ultimately, you see someone in need, we try to help. Proper financial planning can help expand on that, can free up resources so you can say, hey, I want to give a certain amount of my money to things that might be happening today, and you set that money aside. Spontaneous giving typically happens on the spot. Over the course of the weeks, months, I'm assuming some of you guys tithe, hopefully all of you tithe. As the plate comes around, you drop your money into the plate to help out with the church operations day to day. Spontaneous giving, intentional giving, very upfront people's minds. People understand it, they can feel it. The intentional giving, though, and spontaneous giving stop when you pass away. The church stops receiving those tithes that get put in the plate every week. The organizations and the events and what you feel like doing stop once you pass away unless you take that next step. So your church, your charities, alma maters, not-for-profit organizations, unless you have something articulated in writing, when you pass away, those stop, which is where some of the deeper planning comes into play. And obviously there's overlay here. So where the certified financial planner in me comes out is more of these planned giving situations. How to take that next step and not only take care of organizations, charities, and causes when you pass, but potentially, and I think all of you said no one wants to think about taxes on a Sunday, but we can all try to save a little bit of taxes. Who here would rather give money to the church than the IRS? So planned giving solutions, I'm thinking that most of you are Pennsylvania residents. When you pass away, who are your beneficiaries? Who do you want to give money to? Just start blurting them out. Kids, church, St. Luke, various organizations, right?
Gemma.
There we go, Gemma. So lots of organizations, a lot of great causes. How about Harrisburg? How many people want their money to go to Harrisburg? You laugh, but in the state of Pennsylvania, when you pass away, your spouse gets your money tax-free. Your kids get your money, but Harrisburg takes 4.5% right off the top. cousins, nieces, nephews, anyone who's a relative, who's not your direct lineage, so kids and grandkids, 4.5% goes to Harrisburg. If money goes to other family members, Harrisburg takes 12%. If left improperly to somebody else, a friend, a colleague, someone like that who's not related to you, 15%, 1.5 right off the top. There's ways to avoid that. Not completely, obviously, without committing tax fraud, but there's mechanisms that you can put into place to say, hey, we want to start reducing that liability. So planned giving starts with the conversation. What are your intentions? Who do you want to give money to? Creating a foundation and a foundational approach to personal finance is making sure that the spontaneous and intentional is taken care of today. Obviously, if you can't eat, if you can't clothe yourself, you're not going to be able to take steps like this. But maybe there's organizations that could help you out. But what you do have, you start growing that foundation over time and articulating what you want to have happen. So misconceptions. You need a lot of money to do these things. If you're over 70 and a half years old and you have a traditional IRA, 401k, something like that, that's pre-tax money that has never been taxed before, and you're giving money to this church through your checking account, you're doing it wrong. Period, mathematically wrong. You can do qualified charitable distributions after age 70 and a half, not 73 when you have to take required minimums. That becomes part of a lot of people's plans. If you don't know what I'm talking about, talk to me on Monday when I'm a certified financial planner again, and I can tell you what's going on with that. Even small amounts. Putting a plan together to make sure that various bank accounts have proper beneficiary designations on them. Setting up various types of accounts that ultimately pass to various organizations directly and efficiently outside of probate could vastly change how much money Harrisburg, potentially the federal government, get from your estate, and hopefully give you peace of mind that says, hey, this is what I actually wanted. Too many times we see people pass away and several different children show up in the office and say, well, mom told me this, dad told me that, she told me that another time at Christmas, at Thanksgiving it changed, on Easter is another story. We don't know until you sit down and change it, articulate it, and put something in writing, which ultimately can change and fluctuate over time. Nothing's set in stone unless you want it to be. So planned giving features, again, it's not something that just happens in the future. The planned giving solutions actually could have tax implications today, things like qualified charitable distributions. We set up donor advised funds for individuals frequently. So over the last, I'll say 15 years, 16 years since the 2008 financial crash, the stock market's done extremely well for a lot of people. They have a lot of appreciated assets. Well, again, if you're giving money to the church through your checking account and have vastly appreciated assets, Apple stock, hopefully you all bought Apple back in 2008, NVIDIA, things like that are happening right now, giving that money to the church can save you in taxes. If you need income, well, what if I don't want to just give money away? The planned giving strategies, and again, you can't see this, and I apologize, it's very small, but the roadmap, and I think what you should take away from this is it's not a one-size-fits-all solutions-based product that we offer, or that you should even think about for yourself. The purpose of that squiggly line is to say everyone's different and it's not a direct path. There's no A to Z solution in finance or planning that says, take these steps and everything will happen exactly how you want it. But with tax law, you can give yourself a very good opportunity to at least straighten that line out a little bit. At least that's my opinion. So when we start looking at some of these different types of solutions, there's no one size fits all. You're looking at donor advised funds, charitable gift annuities, so that you can set those up. At the end of your life, money goes to charity, but through your life, you end up getting some kind of an income. You still get a tax break for that. You can't totally cut out the IRS and Harrisburg from your estate plan. There's always going to be some involvement, legal fees as well from various attorneys, different other professionals, but to the extent you can plan, to the extent you can look at what you're trying to accomplish and take action steps to do that. These are various examples that are on there, but again, this one's supposed to be a charitable remainder trust, donor advised fund. This one's a charitable gift annuity. We're not going to go into details of what those things mean, but there's various solutions out there that can save you money on taxes today that ultimately longer term could potentially benefit the church if you do it properly. You don't want to harm your organizations, and I'll keep saying organizations because it can include the church, obviously, but to the extent you have other places you want to help out, making sure that when you pass away, your intentions are known, articulated, written down somewhere, formulated properly, can give you peace of mind that when you do pass, those items are executed, taken care of, and throughout the course of your life, potentially save you some money on taxes to free up assets to continue to help people. So the reason to act now, again, no one knows what's going to happen 2 hours from now, 2 days from now, 2 months from now. If you're thinking about this stuff, I'm offering you, or if you're a Thrivent member and have another advisor, please call that person up. I'm not here to take other people's clients. As the Thrivent planner, I love hearing from my members. I love hearing from my clients, and I know the rest of us do as well. So, take this information back to whoever your advisor is at Thrivent or at external places, and let them know that you're thinking about charitable planning, estate planning, and you want to formulate something. But if you wait, when it's too late, unfortunately. Even something as simple as getting power of attorney documents on file and activated sooner rather than later. God forbid something happens and documents are not in place. It could be detrimental. I always point out, and I was talking to, sorry, what's your name? Jeanette, over in Minnesota, in the Midwest, Prince's estate is still going on. It's still not settled up in courts. Well, everyone thinks they have time until they don't. Howard Hughes, the airplane, estate, that's still going on. Tens of, I think now they said it's upward of $2 billion worth of legal fees and other assets that are getting caught up in the courts. Again, everyone says, wow, but what happens if it happened? Hopefully you all have billions and billions of dollars. But if you don't, even a few $100, a few $1,000 going to places that you don't want to go to, why? Very easily avoidable. So talk about it with the people that you care about, your spouse, your children, your organizations that might be receiving assets. How do you want that money spent? How do you want it distributed at your passing? And assemble a team. I can set up a lot of this stuff for people, but when we set up trusts and we set up various types of legal documents, I can't personally do that, but I coordinate it. I'm on the phone 3-4 times a week, just about every other day, with someone's attorney. I have people that I work with setting up proper strategies and legal documents for individuals. And then make it possible for yourself. There's a range of stuff out there. Identify what you're trying to accomplish and talk to your team, talk to your family about what the outcome looks like. I try to ask that question up front at the end of all these conversations. What is it that you want to have happen? What's the end result? You can work backwards from that and tailor it to see what's possible and what's not. But this all starts with a conversation. Being frank and open with the people you're speaking with and what you want to have happen. Hopefully I'm not too imposing and too scary to anybody. If I'm not, you can talk to me about it. If you're scared of me, you can talk to someone else about it. But when the IRS comes knocking on your door and saying, hey, we need more money, usually people don't like that conversation for sure. So if you'd rather speak with me than the IRS, happy to do it. Any questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
I've got a Barb and then to Dave.
Okay.
When you designate like money to St. Luke, is that in your will or in your trust?
So that's part of what we're talking about.
Yeah, but
it depends what you want.
well,
So,
if I have a trust and I have a will,
yeah.
but
So if you have money
where do you write
in a
it down?
trust,
So
the trust is going to supersede the will. So
Justice
typically with
first.
any kind of asset you have, the will is just there to catch assets that you don't have beneficiaries on. So if you list, I shouldn't say it specifically, if you have assets and you say the beneficiary is the trust, the money goes to the trust. If you say the beneficiary is the estate, it goes to the estate. Typically, you don't want assets going into probate to the estate
well, yeah,
through your
that's
will.
what I'm trying. Yeah,
More
get rid of
legal
probate.
fees. Typically, it's more complicated. So leaving kids, charities as beneficiaries typically is more beneficial.
Okay, so you tell the trust.
You
what
tell the
you
trust
want.
what you want and your will just in case. But in a perfect world, you can have certain trusts set up too. It's called a pour over trust, that if you forget to name the trust on some of your assets, goes into the trust and you avoid probate completely.
And then the executor reads the trust and does
Well, the
it.
trustee, executor would be for your will. The two different entities,
So who's the trustee?
whoever you want. You can have a corporate trustee. You can have, there's trust companies. Your attorney can act as a trustee. A lot of people pick their kids, family members.
Thank you for putting St. Luke in Any of those, Dave.
Any and all.
So, Michael, just to clarify something you said earlier that I didn't know, you can initiate a QCD when you're 70 and a half.
So a few years ago, the RMD age used to be 70. and a
Right,
half.
now it's
They moved it to
73,
73.
but I can still take money out of
At
a
70 and a half.
pre-tax account and give it to St. Luke and
Not a
not
day
pay
before
tax
you
on,
turn
not pay
70.
tax on that
Correct.
money
Yeah.
at 70 and a half.
70 and a half, not a day before 70 and a half.
Okay.
Can't
All
be
right.
70. Or
Oh, that's good
25.
news though. I didn't realize
They
that.
left that
Okay.
QCD age at 70. and a half.
And then I'd be interested in your thought process here. I was told by a lawyer that right now we have several nonprofits in our will. St. Luke, of course, being one of them.
Sure.
And we have a designated percentage of our overall assets. Somebody suggested to me that instead of just doing it that way, you want to make sure that whatever you give to the nonprofits is pre-tax money, not tax money. So it might be better to go in and designate, certain money coming from certain pre-tax funds to those organizations rather than just putting a overall percentage in your will. Does that make sense? I mean,
So what's the tax rate for the church?
0.
Yeah. IRA assets are better left to organizations, not-for-profit organizations, and then
Right.
non-retirement assets better left to individuals. So when you pass away, your stocks that are non-retirement accounts get a
Right.
step up in basis. So all that growth over the years, you don't get taxed on.
Yeah, well, you don't want to give money out of a Roth IRA to St. Luke. You'd rather
No,
give it out of a
correct.
traditional IRA,
Pre-tax
right?
money, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Roth IRAs are good for leaving to kids.
Yep.
Individuals, life insurance, leave to individuals.
Yep. Okay. Thanks.
I'm not quite 70 and a half yet, but I'm curious
Few more
what
years.
QCD means.
Qualified charitable distribution.
Thank you. Okay. Well, no, I know it's coming like next week, I think. Yeah. Was there a hand?
I think
So I was going to ask about the age, the 70 and a half. So I have an inherited IRA. So I'm nowhere near that old, but it's already in distribution. So
Yeah,
is
what
is
year
it-
did you
can-
inherit it?
I inherited it in 2019.
Okay.
So
So-
before the rule changes.
So you inherited IRAs, you still have to wait till 70 and a half to do a QCD out of those.
Okay.
And the reason I ask when you inherited it after 2020, the Secure Act made people who inherit IRAs liquidate the account within 10 years. 2019, you're under the stretch rules. So you can still spread that out over a lot longer period of time. But yeah, it's still inherited IRAs, even though it's distributing, you can't donate that till you're 70 and a half. Those rules still apply. Anything else?
If you're setting up all this stuff, do you go to your lawyer first, your accountant first?
Someone you
or
trust.
The money with the money.
Someone you trust.
Well, I trust all three of
All
them.
of the above. I mean,
But which one do you start with to
do you have someone
manage?
coordinating it all for you? Do you have a high level planner that knows about
Yeah.
all those people? So that person, if one of them you're using more of a service provider, set up my will at the direction of a planner, use that planner to kind of coordinate it. That's how I operate,
Okay, do the planner first and then bring the other two people in.
because they'll probably see more of your assets, more of what's happening.
Nancy.
I don't have a question. I just can't resist telling you all that when I was a junior in college, I worked one summer for Lutheran Brotherhood writing for their monthly magazine.
And there's a copy of those magazines, not the one that you wrote,
Yes.
but the newest one is out on that table if you want to see what Nancy started over there.
One more from Dave Hughes.
So, Michael, we had a lawyer, he's retired now, but he insisted that we not make any of our accounts TOD accounts. He wanted it to all go into the estate. I'm still not sure I understand that.
I don't know why.
okay.
I mean, that could be.
Because TOD seems easy because it automatically transfers to whoever you designate, right? Transfer on death.
Transfer on death are for investment accounts. Banks call them PODs, payable
Yeah.
on death.
So if you have a TOD and you set up a beneficiary, it happens quite quickly and pretty seamless. Once it goes into your estate, then I think it can get
It
more
all depends.
complicated,
I
right?
typically prefer, unless there's a specific reason, to leave money to the estate, um, to put TODs, beneficiaries, PODs. If you have a pour over trust or some kind of a trust set up that directs assets. I mean, the problem with leaving money to an estate, you don't put TODs on your accounts. The money goes to the estate. I walk into the court and say, hey, on May 31st, Dave took me aside and said, I get all his money. Well, what's the court going to say? We got to look into it.
Yeah.
It ties everything up. So my personal opinion is you put TODs, PODs, beneficiaries as much as you can, unless there's a special circumstance.
Yeah.
You know, so there's special needs situations where you want to, or special situations, I should say, including special needs trust, things like that, where you might want something to go through a will or a provision of a legal document. But
Thank you.
Anyone else?
well, there are, and oh, go ahead.
What is a
So
special
if
needs
you
trust?
if you have children, or even adults who can't provide for themselves, the government provides benefits for them potentially. So if a trust is structured properly, you can remove funds from that person's estate and that person's group of assets, still have certain bills, medical stuff paid for, rent, things like that, and maintain government benefits. So it's repositioning assets to save benefits. And the parents set up, so it's already active? The trust is already active?
Yeah, I had a 929 and it's not gonna work, so it
Yep.
only have so much money.
Yeah, like $2,000 in a checking account, and then the government starts taking, yeah, so you set up a special needs trust. And so a trust, all these entities, if you will, your estate, trust, they're their own individuals. They have their tax ID numbers that are separate from you, the person. So there's different stipulations you put on these different entities, if you will, that what they can and can't do. If it's structured properly, you put assets in the special needs trust instead of in the individual's name, so that they can maintain government benefits and assistance. Yeah. It seems complicated. I'm sorry if I talk fast and technical sometimes. I enjoy the stuff. It's like a jigsaw puzzle for me, you know, trying to do things properly and getting to what people need. There's not always a clear-cut answer, but tax law is you know, you can interpret it different ways. Different attorneys, different teams will package things differently. Different states, certainly different states.
What's the reason to set up a trust? Why would you set up a trust? Like, we have 2 kids.
Yep.
Right now, we do have a trust set up for them until they're 40.
So an income generating trust.
Yeah. I'm sorry. So I'm just trying to understand why we did that.
So
We-
a trust is a way to control assets when you're not around, or if there's certain tax situations and government programs. So in a special needs trust, if a person with special needs gets control of, so a person can't work
Right.
for the rest of their life, and they inherit $1 million, what's going to happen to that money? If they can't handle the money, it's going to get squandered. And along the way, they lose government benefits. So you set up a special needs trust so that they can retain benefits and someone looks over the assets. Outside of just special needs, avoiding probate, people don't, you know, a living trust, for example, it can be a catch-all that you put your money into and it distributes out how you want after you pass away. For things like properties.
But if you think, if you, you know, you've set aside nonprofits that are going to get part of your money, and then you have a couple kids, and you think they can handle the money,
Yeah.
there's really no reason to put it into a trust, then, is there?
So the federal estate tax limit is about 13.6 million. If your estate's above that, the federal government gets 40% of it. Anything above that number, you set up trust.
Yeah.
If you have multiple properties, a lot of times people put those in their trust and have the trust own it, so that when you pass away, there's not she's got to pay me that amount of money. That again, with proper planning, you could set up a life insurance policy that the kids pay for to buy the other one out. She wants the house. Okay, take out a life policy. When we die, money goes to that person. We've done that before.
You have a hand over here from Wendy.
I say for trust, it's almost like controlling money for from the grave with some tax benefits, potential.
We were just told recently that because we only have one child and we have no out-of-state property, we do not need a trust.
Okay,
Does that sound common?
potentially, yeah.
I don't know
that's
if
pretty
that's,
common.
if we had more kids or if we had out-of-state properties, it would be recommended that we have a trust, but
So trust typically layers some kind of complexity onto things. If you have multiple properties, multiple people, conflicting interests that you think might be an issue sometime, the simple way to think about it is trust control money when you're not around. There could potentially be tax benefits to doing that as well, but at the core of it, it's controlling money when you're not around. Yeah. Setting up living trust, for example, if you still want access, you don't get tax benefits per se to it. It's just control.
Pennsylvania, where we live. The current situation is that it'll go to probate, period. Now, that doesn't mean you can't try to set something up that supersedes probate, but you can't work around it.
Around probate?
Yeah.
Well, you put beneficiaries onto various accounts and it doesn't go to probate. If you have a trust, it doesn't go to probate.
Well,
You still have to file a final tax return
yeah.
for yourself, or you're not for yourself. Someone does it for you.
That'd be pretty amazing.
Yeah.
what about various bank accounts? How do you?
PODs, it's called payable on death. Anything that doesn't have a beneficiary on it goes to your estate and distributed.
How
to
do you
pro-
put a beneficiary on it?
Walk into the bank, say,
Okay,
oh, I want to
thanks.
I want to put a beneficiary on this account. It's very easy typically to do beneficiaries. When my clients call us, we send them, who do you want? What's the person's birthday, phone number? We send you a form and beneficiaries change. It's all DocuSign. It's done within a matter of minutes. So if you guys don't have any other questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes afterwards in case you want to say something personal or ask me something. But if you are a Thrivent member currently, please utilize our generosity programs, action teams, choice dollars. If you don't know what those are, ask me. I love watching people utilize those. And truthfully, if you're one of my clients, if we don't have a big enough percentage of our clients using these things, we get the nasty grams from our back office. Are you talking about? Yes, I'm talking about it. I can't make people do it. But there's a lot of different programs that we offer out there to help people, again, currently and from a planning perspective, long term.
Yeah, and I'll add the pastor's perspective on that. Yeah, the action teams are so helpful and they're really quite easy. And some of you may be aware of them, but yeah, it's really any project that you see, Thrivent is probably willing to help with it. And I'll put in a pitch any St. Luke project that you see. But for example, when we filled the crib, the Sunday school filled the crib. We have some Thrivent insurance, and so we have access to, I think, is it 2 a year for each member?
Depending on how you're set up.
Yeah, depending on how you're set up. And we go in through our Thrivent account, say, we want to support this with an action team. They send a $250 Visa card that then is used the way that we describe it. And for us, it was adding to the things that we were able to give to the Maternal Health Consortium, and then Thrive. All Thrivent really asked for is like, hey, tell us the story, send us some pictures, let us know what happened.
We have to give the money away.
Yeah,
As a nonprofit, we have to. And that's why they tell us if your people aren't using it, tell them to use it because we don't want the IRS looking at, oh, you didn't give enough away this year. Okay.
Yeah, so if you are a Thrivent member, we're trying to get a little more kind of organized and intentional at St. Luke. But if you're a Thrivent member, make sure we know that you are, because we'll find projects as they're coming up to say, oh yeah, this would be good for because Thrivent likes to help, especially even with the things that aren't that exciting. Like they'll
You got to
help.
make it exciting. That's
Yeah,
part
I
of
say
the-
like
the deal.
the not exciting parts, like they'll buy paper plates for a dinner that's gonna support ASP or something like that. They'll do the things really behind the scenes that people aren't just waving their donations at. So yeah, well, thank you to Michael for being here. Thank you for teaching me what a a
QCD.
QCD and I knew TOD, but you get all the I have an ELCA is the that I know. But thank you all for sticking around. Michael will be here to everyone online. This whole thing is recorded, and so if there's any part of this that you don't remember and you want to come back to the St. Luke Devon YouTube channel, you under live, you'll see this recording here. So if there's anyone that or if there's someone you want to say, oh, you missed this, we want you to know about QCDs or all those things. So Michael will be here for your individual questions. And again, thank you so much for coming to St. Luke.